With 1,084 young people in North Bristol receiving one-to-one support during the period of June 2021 to May 2022, alongside an increase in waiting times post-pandemic, it's clear demand is high and growing in this locality. You mentioned an aim of the new model is to offer youth and play services that are local, diverse, culturally aware, trauma-informed, flexible, skilled and supported, but without the current level of service, schools and social care, two of our highest referrers into CYN, would struggle to find alternative provision to send young people who need the help the most. Current one-to-ones provided by the targeted youth provision is offered the only available help to young people. There is over a year wait for other services, particularly in mental health, and schools are struggling, as we have seen from the recent strikes. North-based young people who are often in crisis due to poor mental health, isolation and discrimination and bullying won't have a one-to-one service to go to because the funding will not be there. The South Bristol Youth Zone plans geographically have no benefit or impact to these young people whatsoever, and it seems to be what is going to take priority by 2025. Youth groups also seem to take priority in this proposal, but when there's so many young people that are anxious and isolated, it's our one-to-one work that's an integral part of the re-engagement process for many young people. So my questions are, 1, where are North young people considered in this proposal? And 2, why isn't one-to-one services being prioritised when they're currently in high demand in every area?
Okay, so young people in the North are considered equally in our proposals. Work is ongoing to agree funding splits across the areas, and the North will not be disadvantaged. Indeed, our medium-term commitment is to fund a second youth zone in the north of the city, and we hope this is taken forward by a future administration. One-to-one support is an unsustainable model, and our intention is to move towards a blended youth work model that delivers support earlier. Group activities and detached work from community-based voluntary and community sector organisations and through their resources will allow young people to build ongoing relationships rather than short-term referral-based relationships. The new proposals will also entail some bridging youth work support for those who may need a little bit of extra help. The youth zone, as I said, is a part of our ambition for young people and our investment in the future. And youth grants will ensure that young people in the north of the city, as I said, are not disadvantaged, although we will also make every effort to help all young people to access the youth zone wherever they live in the city.
So I think where you're saying about North young people will be treated equally, the reality is if you're starting to invest in South Bristol, I don't see how that's equal. I welcome these plans that you've just mentioned now about a second youth zone in the future, but that isn't guaranteed. This is all just based on, hoping that this is something that happens in the future. The current one-to-one service is sustainable. It gets results, and being a one-to-one worker myself, I can't see how those one-to-ones that we work with currently are going to go to these youth groups and everything that you're talking about if they can't even leave their bedrooms. So the one-to-one work is integral, as I've said, in getting young people to those youth groups in the first place. Otherwise, there won't be youth groups to run if young people won't be able to get there.
Okay. So just a reminder, the report I'm bringing today was co-produced with the sector, over 70 youth organisations. This is your report. It's not just my report, it's your report. Everything that is in this report has been down to the conversations, negotiations and collaboration that we've had with over 70 youth-based organisations across the city. I want to just also remind you, everyone, that our commitment to the youth zone is essential given the level of funding that our investment actually triggers. And in an ever diminishing envelope of funding, it is crucial that we look for alternative models and external investment. The numbers that you quoted in your question are not just one-to-one, but are the total number, including EAT support, such as current educational status, not known, September guarantee, and targeted groups. Our future co-produced offer does include one-to-one support, specifically for drugs and alcohol support and education, employment and training support, although this will be commissioned alongside the grants process. So I don't want you to think it may not be at the level, but I say again that the money is not there. We can't retain the same level of service if we've got less money. And so, as I said before, it wasn't a decision that we wanted to make, but unfortunately have been forced to make. And working with the sector, you're the ones who came up with the plans in terms of this is the approach that we're going to take. One-to-one is included in that, but at the level that can be afforded. And I say again, our investment in the sector is only a small proportion of what the sector in its totality actually brings in. So again, as through the youth network and as you work going forward, hopefully we'll be able to draw in more resources and more funding into Bristol to enable us to deliver the level of support that our children and young people need and deserve. So, thanks.
Yeah, so I think so the 1,084 young people number, that's what I pulled directly from the report. So if I've misquoted that, then I pulled that directly. I think the only thing I will say, just because you were being very direct and like you were saying it was our decision and we were consulted in it, I as a youth worker, whilst I might have had conversations with my colleagues, we haven't actually been consulted.
Can I just check you have a supplementary question? Do you have a supplementary question?
No, I'm just going to ask.
Okay.
So I'm just asking where that consultation was and where that decision was, because I think
Great.
it was actually a decision we were forced into.
Okay, thank you.
It wasn't our decision.
Asher?
Well, I'm surprised because, like I said, we've been having this conversation for nearly 2 years about the approach that we were going to take with your senior leaders and the representatives of your organisation. So I would have expected during this whole process that some kind of conversation would have been had internally with all the 70-odd organisations that had been. So I can't comment any further on that really in terms of consultation, but that should have happened and your organisation should have kept the staff informed of what was coming down the track.
Thank you, Asher.